hello, welcome to another fucking stream. About that, I need to actually bring down the volume a little bit. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Hello, Iguduk. Hello, Jiang. Hello, Prince537. Suna Kron. Yatanasov, Markadev. Darling Ducking. Name Stafsin Mustafa Salih. Welcome, Hudson Bot. Hello, really glad to see you all today. So today is Saturday, if I'm not fucking mistaken. Am I? Yes, it is the day of the Saturn, and that means today, according to the schedule, we're doing game development. But first, let me brew my tea, because my kettle just, turned off. So just a second. Coming. I came. Hello. Welcome. So yeah, today according to the schedule we're doing a game development, and unfortunately yesterday I was planning to do a little bit of Advent of Code, but I didn't have time or energy to do so I decided maybe we're gonna do the third day of Advent of Code like today before game development, and then we're gonna continue with the game development. How about that? Does it sound good? Sound good? Okay, that sounds good. All right. So, you in the left or right part of Rush? Nice. That's a good question. East, west? No. Who fucking needs east? Whatever, I'm also Pepeg, as you can hear. Alright, so what language should we use for the third day? I actually didn't read the third day, I have no idea what it's all about. Maybe I shouldn't jump into the third day until I actually sip on my tea. Rust, we already did Rust, come on. So we already did Rust and Haskell, so these two languages are out of the question. Left part of Russia, yes. There's like left part of Russia, right part of Russia, bottom part of Russia, and top part of Russia. How about that? Oak. It depends on how difficult the problem is. Oak is kind of limited. Isn't Oak essentially just a DSL for processing lines? If you think about it, any language is just a DSL for processing lines, isn't it? But yeah. So what I was thinking about, maybe it will depend on the problem itself. Jesus fucking Christ, is there a flag? Thank you so much for 13... Sojingon. Yes. Thank you so much for 13 months, more than a year of Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you, and welcome to our epic Advent of Code Club. About that. Isn't that epic? Alright, so Advent of Code. I really don't want to jump into the problem solving until I have my tea. Like, seriously, my brain isn't working properly right now. And yeah, it's fucking crazy. So yeah. Do it in Emacs Lisp. Sounds like an interesting idea, actually. By the way, if anyone is interested, I actually post my problems here. So there's a separate repo. And if we take a look at the repo itself, yeah, as you can see, we already used up Rust and Haskell. So here's the Rust, 63% of Rust and 35% of Haskell, and even like a little bit of Makefile. Yes, I do solve problems in Makefiles. That's a thing I do. So maybe I need to actually go and fetch my latest changes to the Advent of Code thingy. So because I'm not sure if I have anything. Maybe I committed something like off screen, who knows, because I usually work on a completely different account. No, I didn't. Would you look at that? So let's create a third one and let's just go there, but I still have not decided on the language. Still have not decided. 3 languages for 2 problems. Yeah. Good old C. I mean, C is too good to waste it on a simple problem. So that's the problem with C, right? I might as well actually do that in C++. Might as well, yeah. So basically in C++, but in like a modern C++ with STL and all of that stuff. So that would be actually pretty cool. By the way, hello, John. So yeah, I think let me take a look. I think my tea is already ready. Already ready. Already ready. So are you guys ready for a little bit of a TSMR? Hmm? Do you guys want a little bit of TSMR? Because I'm here to provide you a little bit of TSMR. Imagine wasting C++ on day 3. I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan of C++. So, yeah. And by C++, I mean specifically like proper C++ with like constructors, destructors, STL, iterators, like generic algorithms and all that jazz. You know how a proper C++ is supposed to look like. The one that I don't like to program in usually. So I can waste that language on a day 3. And then on more difficult things, I can program in C because I program in C++ like in C. C++ 20 doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't. It's a vaporware. Vapor. I don't even know what that means. I think I'm too boomer for this kind of words, but yeah. Hence the kappa. Just because you put kappa into it doesn't mean it's a funny joke or anything. Oh, by the way, Java. We can use Java. Sounds good. Let's actually do Java. I like this idea. Thank you so much, Kerber. I put kappa streamer laugh. Yes. Okay. So we're gonna do Java. Or as we call it in Russia, Java. Well, I would imagine that Spanish people would also call it Java. And also Swedish people. Yeah. So let's go. So we're also gonna use Vim just to piss people off. Oh, I'm trying to use Emacs key bindings. Imagine using. I think I'm doing something wrong already. All right, so so let's take a look at the third problem. Ayguduk probably knows what it means. Weird reflexes, yeah. Whatever. It's worse than Void, to be fair. Must be some. No, it's not an interface reflex, believe it or not. It's a competitive programming. It's a competitive program. Okay. So since we started to talk about that, I can explain what that's supposed to mean. I didn't fucking expect that this reflex will actually pop up at this specific moment. I wouldn't fucking expect it. Okay, so some time ago, before like Python was such a huge thing on the market, people used to love to program in Java for competitive programming, and the main reason was because it has like big integer in a standard library. So if you would have a problem with long arithmetics, you won't have to implement it yourself. You could just take it from the standard library, and that was a huge advantage over C, C++, Pascal, whatever the fuck people used back in the days. Was like a revolutionary. Now with Python it doesn't matter because the Python numbers are scale or whatever. And no stack faults, yeah. So easy debugging. So there was a lot of benefits back then to use Java. So people were doing competitive programming in Java, and I also was doing that. Actually was doing competitive programming in both C++ and Java. So I reserved Java specifically for something like quirky and weird like that, where you need like integers and whatever. For the rest of the stuff I would use C++ because it's faster. And usually, here's the thing. Here's the entry point of Java, but it's a static method. So that means if you want to have some sort of a decomposition here, right, you would have to make a method, like for example f, right? And it has to be static if you want to call it here. Like you cannot call not static method from a static method. So, and that was huge pain in the ass. Right? F in the chat? What the hell is going on? I'm gonna just ban people who say F in the chat. So, And that was a huge pain in the ass, because if you have a lot of functions, right, if you have a lot of functions, you will have to add static to all of them. So what people did, essentially, they would create an instance of main, the class that they are in, and they would just call like an alternative entry point. Like this. So now, if you want to create a like auxiliary function like this, you can just create it like that and call it from run. So it was like a quick trick to save on like typing, because believe it or not, in competitive programming, the typing is actually crucial at some point. At some point, everybody knows how to solve problems very easily, and basically they're competing in like a type speed competition, like who's gonna be the first one who's typed the problem, and this would save you like, you know, a couple of like seconds or whatever. So yeah, and that's why competitive programmers who program in Java, they do this weird pattern where they create an instance of a main, so they later they don't have to like put static everywhere. So yeah. Does it make sense? Because like I didn't want to explain that because it just takes too much time to explain, because you need to explain the background and all of that stuff. What is static meant to do originally? The same thing that it means today. Believe it or not, its meaning didn't change. So, hello, mcores94. Hello, hello. And methods start to look like, yeah, they start to look like C++. Yeah, it just makes the whole the language less syntactically noisy, right? So because Java would introduce a lot of syntactic noise if you like work with static methods and stuff like that. Okay. So, and I was typing this shit so many times that it like went into reflexes on the level of void. Right, so... Alright, I need a little bit more tea. I think I need a little bit more tea before I can jump into the problem. Alright, I think I'm ready. With the toboggan, login problems resolved, you set off towards the airport. While travel by toboggan might be easy, it's certainly not safe, because they're not using Rust, of course. There's very minimal steering in the area is covered. There's very minimal steering and the area is covered in trees. You'll need to see which angles will take you near the fewest trees. Due to the local geology, trees in the area only grow in exact integer coordinates in the green. Okay. You make a map, your puzzle input of the open squares and trees you can see. For example, this bullshit. Okay. These aren't the only trees, though. Due to something you read about once involving arboreal genetics and biome stability, the same pattern repeats in the right many times. Is that some sort of a Minecraft reference or shit like that? I don't know. Okay. You start on the open square on the top left corner, so you start somewhere here, and need to reach the bottom below the bottommost row on your map. The toboggan can only follow a few specific slopes. You opted for a cheaper model that prefers the rational numbers. Starting by counting all the trees you would encounter for the slope right 3 down 1. I didn't understood this, yeah, I already got lost on this paragraph, what the fuck. But Minecraft is always different, yes it is, so... I wonder, like I didn't even know what they use for biome generation. Alright, can only follow a few specific slopes. You opted for a cheaper... okay, whatever. Start by counting all the trees you would encounter for the slope right 3 down 1. Right 3 down 1. From your starting position at the bottom, check the position that is right 3 and down 1, then check the position that is right 3 and down 1, and so on until you go past the bottom of the map. So the location you check in the above example are marked Here, okay, I see. So you move like a almost like a knight on the chess board. The locations you check in the okay. In the example, traversing the map using this slope will cause you to encounter 7 trees. Standing at the top left corner of your map and following the slope of the right tree. How many trees? Is that it? Okay, so the description actually looked more like scary than I expected, to be fair. What the fuck? Okay, so cool. I guess it's not that difficult because you have a pattern and you can easily wrap it around by using modular arithmetic, and you just count the trees. Yeah, a lot of the early problems are like this. Okay, so that sounds nice. So that means we can try to solve that. 3-minute solution. Yeah, but I forgot how to read files in Java, so we'll see how it goes. What's up, Cozy White Bear? Welcome to the stream. But maybe it doesn't fucking matter. Is that a void counter? I don't know what you're talking about. It's certainly not. It's certainly not. I wonder if I can... okay, let's actually use Emacs, because I think I will need Emacs here. So can I do something like string input? And then I can just have a bunch of strings in here. Yeah. Like this. Like this. That's way too dang. Do you know, like, have you watched the yesterday's stream here at Sun Plus? We actually read it directly from the input device. So there we go. So it's essentially we connect directly to the input device of the keyboard and we listen to it, and we just wait for the sequence of the characters and then just increment and stuff. Yes, exactly. You can check out the code. Unfortunately, it will work only on Linux, but it works quite well, not gonna lie. So yeah, so we implemented it exactly like yesterday. I believe I see the first time Java on this channel. This is because you're a new friend. Right. Imagine being new friend that you never saw Java on my channel. To be fair, I think a lot of people who are watching me right now never saw Java on this channel, but I did program in Java on this channel at some point. Yeah. We switched to Emacs from Vim, or today is Emacs day. I don't know if I can call Vim. Whatever, don't think about it. Editor doesn't matter. Editor doesn't make you a better programmer. Just forget about it. Okay, don't focus on the editors too much. It's like a car doesn't make you a better driver. By the way, car analogy. So we're gonna use makefiles to build a Java project. Is a directory on FreeBSD. I think it's also on Linux, because keyboard is not def input, it's def input / event and one of the numbers. So yeah. So specifically here we can take a look at that. Input. Yeah, there we go. So the keyboard is one of those. Well, I know exactly which one. It's event 14 because I actually set this thing up. So it's event 14. Yeah. So we're gonna have something like main class. It's gonna be main Java, and we're gonna just do essentially Java C main Java. Maybe we can also do something like run, right? This one is gonna be phony, of course, and this thing is gonna be simply do Java main, and it depends on main class. There we go. So, and we can do something like this, and it will always try. We don't even have Java on this machine, do we? Java C. Yeah, okay, so this is because I have not set up the environment. So it's gonna be source. It's not really def, it's OPT. I've got input 05. Okay, that's nice. But I don't know how to make void cross-platform yet, but I do have an issue. Well, I didn't create an issue for that, but I do plan to research that at some point. So OPT Java environment, there we go. So I should have Java C in my environment now. Yeah, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. So the startup times are as fast as usual. Really love them. And I need to restart Emacs from within the development environment, otherwise it's not going to inherit the environment, you know, the usual jazz. The usual Java jazz. Everybody loves that. Everybody fucking loves that. Alright, let's just try to run that. It compiles the Java, then it runs it, and there we go, there we go. Cool, so this entire idea compiles, which is super nice, which is super nice. Okay. So let's keep track of the current position of the guy or girl. I don't know who's there. Oh, it's you. Whatever. The character. I see the GNU. Yeah, I'm sorry for Rotten Plots, but I created an issue for that. I'm sorry for GNU Source. GNU Source is actually needed for some bullshit that can be easily replaced. So I wasn't just too lazy to research how to do that at the point. So we're gonna have like Y, which indicates the position of the row. So this is row 0, and this is column 0. So and while Y, so maybe it would be nice to have something like width. Actually, let's start with the height, because height is easier to calculate because it's going to be input length, right, if I remember correctly, and then we can have a width, which is going to be input 0 length, and I'm not sure if it's going to properly compile. I'll need to double check that. Yep. Oh, god fucking damn it. I think it doesn't even matter. Yeah, I think it doesn't even matter at this point, and this one has to be actually does Java have const? No, it doesn't. It does have final, but I don't remember if final even do anything. Yeah, okay, it checks that you cannot modify it, but I mean, it doesn't really matter anyway. So, oh, by the way, we can also make this thing final. Alright, so and while Y is less than height that we have here, we're gonna keep doing this weird thing. And we also need to maintain the result, so let's call it result down. Yeah, this thing won't... Yeah, I knew that. Because we at least explicitly include Linux/input. Like... But maybe it would be possible to abstract away this mechanism from the operating system, from the platform, and just re-implement some like platform-specific part for FreeBSD or something. Oh, you could run it on the emuler. Nice, huh? It's actually super cool. It's actually super cool that you can do this kind of stuff in FreeBSD. All right, so let's give it a try. So if input, I'm not even sure if you can access the string characters by square brackets. I don't think so. I don't think it's a thing. But we can try it. So this is Y plus 1, I suppose, right? So it's a down 1, and to the right, right is going to be plus 3. But again, I don't remember if you can do that with a string. If this thing, we can also do something like this. Y0, Y, actually, on 1, Y plus 1, X1, X plus 3. So this one is Y1, X1. And if this thing, char add, okay, so yeah, I remember, I just remembered, you helped me to remember, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah. If this thing is that, we are incrementing the result, right? What's funny is that at some point, Y can be, oh, by the way, this is quite important, so we'll have to do something like this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So the problem with this thing is that y, if y automatically become out, we have to prematurely like exit. Right, we'll have to exit somewhere here. Like if y is greater or equal. Well, you can always just do it like that. This is kind of lame, but it will work, I'm pretty sure. And y1 and x, and there we go. And then you can just do system out println result. It's a very lame approach, but I think it will work. I don't like this double condition because we checked the same thing several times. You could also increment x at the end of the loop. Cool. So let's try to compile this entire thing. And 7. How many? Yeah, we got 7. All right. So, but that's only half of the work because I don't know how to read from files. Okay, so I remember that Java had some sort of a file reader, right? Yeah. So you can provide a file name or something. Do I need to? I think I need to also import Java IO. Try files class. God damn it. All right. So, by the way, when you use a file input, oh, there's also file input stream. Can I use something like that? Hello, Alexei. I'm from HR department of Nova Submissions. We're already sorry that we didn't answer you suggestions last time. As I can see, you're professional Java. Could you consider being employed? Yes, please hire me. Please, please. Yeah. Yeah, I already told that story a couple of times. I send like JetBrains my CV, and they just straight up fucking ignore me. They didn't even tell me anything, like ever. Yeah. Maybe I'm not that good for JetBrains. Who fucking knows? Maybe I'm not that good. But you have to buy IDEA first. Oh, that explains it. That actually explains it. Okay, can we just use file input stream? So it also implements like input stream, and does it have like read line? I also remember that Java had buffered reader. Buffered reader. Employers hardly ever reply to applications. To be fair, I applied to a lot of companies within Russia, and JetBrains was the only company that didn't reply to me. I don't know how it is in other countries, but usually in Russia, if you send a CV, well, if I send my CV to a company, they usually reply to me, except JetBrains. Yeah. So... So you can actually read line here, which is nice. But when you ran out of lines... Okay, oh shit! Look at that. Look at that shit. To be fair, okay, so here's the interesting thing. I never used streams in Java. I've never used them because I stopped programming in Java before they introduced them. Well, it's not true. I actually was still programming in Java when they introduced them, but I was on a project that used legacy Java, so we were not allowed to use them. So maybe I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to learn about the streams. I think my experience with functional programming will help me here. What do you guys think? Yeah. Okay, so let me try to do the following thing. I'm gonna comment out this entry point, and I'm gonna... About that, you see, I have a like snippet for that. So, okay. Functional programming in Java, yes. So what we'll have to do here, we need to create a new file reader, and we'll have to read it from like input.txt. Let's actually also put this shit here. So where is advent of Toad? Advent of Toad. I'm gonna put this thing here. And New buffered reader, right? And I suppose in this particular case I will have to use like try with resources, right? Try with resources, but okay, whatever. Oh, I can also use. Wait a second. Okay, so it works. So this is gonna be the input. Advent of Tsoding. Did you know that there will be pattern matching? No, neither do I care. Fuck Java. So let's continue. After that, we'll have to close it. Lines. Okay, let's take a look. Imagine actually following what Oracle introduces to Java in 2020. Fucking cringe. Okay, so yeah, so I get the stream, then I can filter some things. Is there any way to turn it into sort of array? That would be cool. Find all, flat map. You can just do for each. Alright, let's do for each. Okay, so here's the line, and I suppose then I can do system out println that line and just see what's gonna happen. Alright, so let's do that. Let's do that. Is it gonna compile? It didn't fucking compile. So, unreported exception file not found must be code declared. Okay, really? Yeah. So can I just do something like, yeah. So throws this. I remember that. Look at that. We managed to do that. Bruh. We managed to do that. So we can also iterate. Somebody suggested like toList or something, but what the fuck is toList? Collectors toList. Okay, so let me take a look at the collectors. So, and it will give you a list of those things. And does the list interface have something like get? Yes. Returns the element at the specified. But is it going to be like a... Is it going to be array list, or which list is it going to be? To list return input elements into a new list. Alright, so is there any way to do that into array? No, only to a list. I have a feeling that it's going to be super slow, but maybe that's okay. Alright, let's give it a try. So collectors are located where? In Java utils, so I'm not sure if I will have to import that, but I'm going to import that just in case. It's going to be something... okay, if it's going to be array list, it's actually good. I really like that. Alright, so for each... collect collectors to list, and we want to have here lines. There we go. So here are the lines. Yeah, I think the time has come to move that somewhere here. Yeah, let's just move that somewhere here. And also I want to close that at the end of this scope. You can use toArray method directly. Of list, you mean? You mean the array I didn't know. Where is it? Oh, okay, thank you. That's actually pretty cool. And it returns objects. God damn. Returns an array containing all the... Yeah, you won't be able to easily do that. For example, if you have a, like, array of strings, right? Imagine that you have an array of strings. Yeah. And then you'll try to do something like toArray. It won't work because it's not an object, right? So it's not gonna compile. Yeah, I cannot find symbol. variable collectors. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, excuse me? Why this error message is so unhelpful? Why is it so unhelpful? Import missing. I imported everything, didn't I? Why it worked before? Oh, okay, it didn't work before. Util stream. Let's see. Stream. Okay, so now, if I try to do something like this, right? If I try to do something like this, and if I do toArray, right, it will not work because it's an array of objects, and I want to see that specific error there. Yes, that's what I wanted to see. That's exactly the problem that I wanted to see. So you will have to use a different kind of toArray, right? You'll have to, where is that? Which is the second one, so you have to provide this thing. Yeah, so you'll have to do something like toArray, new string, and as far as I know, you don't even need to allocate too much, like you don't have to allocate exact array there because it will just reallocate it, I think. But I don't quite remember. Returns an array containing all domains in this proper sequence. The time returned. Okay. Yeah, you can literally do that because the only reason why you have to put this thing, so the Java has enough type information to like understand what kind of type you want. So it's so scuffed. It's absolutely dumb language, but it is what it is. I'm starting to sort of recall how to program in Java. Yeah, I'm starting to remember why I stopped programming in it because it's so fucking dumb. But yeah, there we go. So this is how we do that, by the way. So, all right, so what's going to be the next one? So this is input length, blah, blah, blah. So I might as well actually just comment it out. I want to see that everything compiles in that regard. It's a really scuffed language, seriously. Like, don't even start programming in it. It's really bad. Okay, so let's put the input here. And let's just move everything here. There we go. So I'm gonna remove this entry point here. You did it once and I hated it. Yeah, I did it not only once, and I gladly forgot almost everything about this language, but now I'm forced to remember it. I wonder if you can do something like nice. Like, what I mean here is essentially, so let's imagine that I have string input, which is just null here, and then I could do try with resources where I would have like this thing. I wonder if you can use var within try with resources. I think you should be able to. And then, so this one is going to be just a file, right? This is a file, and we assign file lines and so on and so forth. I think you should be able to, and then it will just give you the right result. Alright, and if we try to compile that, it didn't compile because you cannot find a symbol, because you don't even need that, because it will be automatically closed by try with resources. Unreported exception, yeah, and then you'll have to throw IO exception. There we go, there we go. There we go, and it gave us 7. Would you look at that? We managed to do all of this. To be fair, like, this is me the first time actually using this kind of API, because again, I stopped programming in Java before all of that became a thing. So I suppose these days Java developers program in this particular style, which is it's okay. It's already functional-ish, I would say. I wonder how this is gonna perform on big files. Probably like shit. Not gonna lie. Probably like shit. To be fair, I'm just realizing that maybe this kind of stuff is not needed here. Right, I might as well just do directly, like y is gonna be that, and then x is gonna be that, and then I can just remove this stuff and get rid of that. It's gonna be the same situation, absolutely. You know what I'm thinking about? can we do something like this? So first we do that, right? And this condition will happen automatically, right? I mean, we need 2 copies of this. We need two copies of this. What am I doing? Okay, so this is what I want, essentially. Yeah. So you increment that, and if it's greater than that, well, you won't even check it. Yeah, I think that's the solution. And furthermore, you can do something like 1. Right, this is going to be 1, and then 3 mod width. So we can even initialize it like that and shrink it even more. Shrink it even more. And is it gonna work? Is it gonna, it still works. I think this is a workable solution. I think this is a workable solution. All right, so this is a sample. So this is a sample. And let's try to solve it. So, does anybody see any problems with this code? I think this is okay. Yeah, I think this is okay. Okay, looks good to me. So, let's go to the input and let's just query our puzzle input. So this is our puzzle input. It's actually very small if you think about that. God damn. All right. So here's the input, and let's just try to run it and see what's going to be the result. 159. Okay, so that was faster than I expected, to be fair. That was very fast. Let's see if I didn't do a fucking... There we go! Got Cooder. By the way, got Cooder. So let's continue to the part 2. First try. First mother flipping try. Okay, time to check the rest of the slopes. You need to minimize the probability of the sudden arboreal stop after all. I have no idea what the fuck is that supposed to mean, but okay. Determine the number of trees you would encounter if, for each of the following slopes, you start at the top level corner and traverse the map all the way to the bottom. So, okay. This one. In the above example, these slopes would find tree, multiply together this to produce the answer. Okay, not a bad idea. Okay, so let's just go ahead and implement that. It shouldn't be that difficult. Arboreal stop, you don't know what that is. I'm sorry, feel free to unsubscribe. It's not like you subscribed anyway. Alright, so what we can do here is essentially extract this entire logic into a separate function. Something like... God fucking... I just noticed, like, with the corner of my eye... Wow. Anyway, that works. That actually works. And speaking of, now I have to add this stupid static, right? So, and that's exactly the reason why people do new main, whatever, right? In competitive programming specifically. Count trees, right? So what we're gonna accept here is just input and these steps, I suppose, right? These steps. So it's gonna be dx, since we're using yx notation, it's gonna be dy dx. Right, dx. And let's just move everything there. So it's going to be pretty straightforward, I think. Yep. Let's put it here. And let's return the result. So, and it has to also return an integer. So this is how we approach all of that. And instead of 1, we'll have to use dy here, and here is dx, dy dx. All right. So, and now, essentially, what we can do is count trees. So we just pass the input there. and the dy dx, right? Dy dx. And okay, so for this particular one is going to be something like 3, and I just want to double check that everything works okay right now. Everything works okay. It should be 150. Okay, so it's 159. All right, now what I want to do here is just to turn this does it mean? Okay, so do... Alright. I'm not sure if I need to include this one. Does it mean the tree for each of the following slopes you studied? Okay, I think for each of them. So I'll need to copy paste this entire thing. Okay. And I think the time has come for a little bit of Emacs magic. What do you guys think? I think the time has come for a little bit of Emacs magic. So let's quickly replace the regular expression here. So right is going to be something like this. So we need to capture that. Then we'll need to capture that like this. And just do that. And then what we want to replace it with, I think we want to replace it with something like 2, 1, because it's yx. And let's see if it's gonna... Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Isn't that fucking epic, mate? I think it's pretty goddamn epic. So now I should be able to do the following thing. Yeah. Thank you. Very cool. So then I can do something like slopes. Yeah, it finally worked. So, and the next thing I want to do is just iterate through all of this shit. Not size t, it's integer. Slopes, length, and essentially, so it's going to be slopes I 0, slopes I 1, and what we have to do here, we have to accumulate the result, right? So we have to multiply all of them. So this is going to be like this. And after that, we'll just have to return the result. There we go. So this is what we need to do here. Okay. So for the sample, it's going to be 336. Let's take a look at the sample then. Let's take a look at the sample. $336. Okay, so I did that correctly. Nice. So that means the next thing is going to be input, and I suppose the as Jiang said, the input is the same for both of the parts. So let's quickly do that. That's too... Okay. Boom. Yeah. It's too low. You might be in for a surprise. It's overflow, right? It's probably overflow. Okay, so let's take a look at some of this. Yeah. Let me take a look at this stuff. System out print ln. I just want to see. I just want to confirm that it's overflow. Okay. Would they overflow? Would they really overflow? Probably. They will probably overflow. First try, motherfucker! Completely in Java, by the way. Completely in Java. I didn't use anything else but Java to solve this problem. So... Yep. Okay, let's actually try to solve it in Java. I mean, so what we can try to do here is probably use longs, right? So maybe with longs is going to be a little bit easier. So let's try to solve it like properly, okay? So I just wanted to check that the problem was indeed in overflow. Right. So I wonder if the long is gonna... Yeah, long works, as you can see, so it's the same result as the long. Okay, so that means we officially solved this entire thing. So git ignore, and what I wanted to do, I wanted to ignore class files. There we go. Mr. Streamer doesn't trust us. Are you surprised that I don't trust you? Seriously? Are you surprised? How many times I was debated on this channel? Hmm? How many times I was debated? Okay, so 03. So add solution for the day 3. Right, I'm gonna push that right at the 3. Yes. You don't have a counter for that, so it means 0 times. Sure, buddy. By the way, you can check out my solutions here. So should I go for the fourth problem? No, I already spent like a whole hour solving this thing. I think it's enough of advent of code for today. The next problem is going to be solved on tomorrow's stream, right? So I don't really want to spend too much time on this kind of stuff, because today we'll need to do some game development, right? So we'll need to continue developing a game. I mean, advent of code is fun and all, but you still need to do work, right? You still need to do work, and our work for today is continue developing this game. Would you look at that? Isn't that epic game? You can do pew pew pew. Right, you can do pew pew pew. You can jump around and stuff like that. And recently, by the way, we implemented the stomp attack. And you can just stomp the enemies and stuff. That's actually pretty cool. So 40 minutes ago, we took 3 minutes solution. I mean, I'm not good at problem solving, I'm sorry. So it is what it is. So I really want to make a small break because I didn't prepare any water before the stream because I'm Pepega. So yeah, let's make a very small break. This is not how you do a small break. It's gonna be let's say 3 minutes. It's gonna be a 3 minutes break, and after the 3 minutes break we're gonna do game development in C++. So maybe I'm gonna actually change the title in advance: game development in C++. There we go. So we did the advent of code, right? We did the advent of code. I don't want to dedicate like the whole streams to advent of code. I want to just solve these things in the background, if it's possible, of course, because I heard the problems become more difficult and difficult. We'll see how it goes. And yeah. So what I want you to do, yeah, let's make a small break and you guys have fun. just-in-time compilation. That's exactly what we do in Java. Hello everyone, welcome back to DAC, Champions of the Arena. So I finally got my quota, so I should be able to, you know, stream efficiently, because it's kind of difficult to stream without any quota. Nice. Classic. Quota. That's right. All right. So as I already mentioned, we're gonna continue doing game development. So maybe I also need to update my project. Today we're doing game development in Z++. Source code https github.com zozin something. That's what we're gonna do today. There we go, there we go. Cool. So again, you can also check out my Advent of Code solutions here. I push them all there, and I always solve them on the stream. I don't even read them before the stream, by the way. So you see my like pure reaction to the problem, and I don't prepare for these problems at all. If I won't be able to solve a problem, I will just say I don't know how to solve that problem, and I will just move on. So far, these problems are relatively easy, so that's why I'm solving them. But I'm pretty sure at some point I'm gonna just say, nah, whatever. I couldn't care less. So I wonder which problem is it gonna be. Is it gonna be the fifth one, or I don't know, maybe 10th one? We'll see, we'll see. So, but today according to the schedule, we need to continue developing our game, right? Actually, I want to restart Team Yukos. So it's gonna be Zozin, Zamdin. There we go. So, and I think I need to fetch these changes for the game. Yeah, so check out master git fetch prune origin. There we go. Alright. Git merge origin master. Cool. So, and I also need to remove these branches. Brine cheese. Now let's rebuild everything, of course. Fresh build. Let's do the fresh build. Yes, I mean, it's a big project, you know, big projects have a long compilation times, as you know, except if you're programming in JavaScript. But even in JavaScript, you still have long build times because of the Webpack bullshit and stuff like that, I mean, right? Alright, so this is how the game looks like. I already demonstrated it. So you have different kind of projectiles. So you can fire, water. You can actually have more, but I just don't add them to the player. You can also place blocks during the fight. Yes, I'm making it to Fortnite. Yes. So, and also different projectiles can destroy different kinds of tiles. For example, water projectile does not destroy ice, but it does destroy dirt because of the erosion or whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. And fire can destroy the ice and stuff like that. So, and there's a stomp attack, but player is not supposed to have the stomp attack. We just added it for the enemies. Yeah, and you can also have enemies, by the way. You can also have enemies. So yeah, you can fight with them and shit. And as you can see, they have a little bit of AI, right? So they use a very simple BFS algorithm to follow you along. And yeah, it's actually pretty efficient. And the AI only works within a single room. Like outside of the room, it doesn't work. It's intentional, by the way. So as you enter the room, all of the enemies within the room start to attack you. If you leave the room, they forget about you. So that's kind of the idea. And the whole game is going to be just, you know, moving from one room to another room, collecting the items, collecting power-ups, killing the enemies, and so on and so forth. Actually progressing down to the bottom. What's up, Out9? Welcome to the stream. What's the used algorithm for the AI? I just said it. Do you guys remember what I said? Or you didn't pick it up? I use a simple BFS to track the player. It's called BFS. Okay, so I would see that if you never heard about this algorithm, right? So if you never heard about this algorithm, you probably would skip the word BFS without realizing that that's the name of the algorithm. So yeah, it's a breadth first search. That's what it is. So yeah. There we go. It's actually super simple. I really recommend to learn it. But we're using it specifically on the grid. Yeah, this is actually kind of unfortunate. If you want to learn BFS, all of the articles will explain you how to do that on a graph, and it will not be really obvious how to do that on the grid. So yeah, but you'll have to do that mental exercise yourself. You'll have to try to transform the BFS for graphs to BFS for the grid, and it's not that difficult of an exercise. I think it's even going to be only beneficial for you. Is it using neural networks running on mesh series? Yes, that's what it does. I heard deep learning. Everyone heard about it. Don't worry about it. All right, so let's continue. Oh yeah, that's true actually, Vagaduk. So there's a lot of competitive programming problems that just require you to code BFS on a grid. And yeah, it's gonna be frustrating, it's gonna be difficult, but it will teach you a lot how to do this kind of stuff. Alright. And then you will be able to apply it in actual game development. How about that? But maybe these days with different engines and stuff like that, you don't really need to code anything yourself. Like, probably just buy some sort of extension on Unity Marketplace or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even know what it is. Oh shit, yes. Yes, this is something that I got during doing chores at home. So wouldn't it be nice to actually shake the camera on Stomp Attack? I think that would be nice. I mean, yeah. I don't know why I didn't think about it on the stream when I was implementing Stomping Attack, but that would be awesome. Like, imagine like stomp and it just shakes the camera a little bit. I mean, isn't grid just a special case of graph? Yes, it is, but it might not be obvious how to translate graph to a grid for a completely new people to algorithms and data structure. Yeah, so I think we need to add shaking to the camera. I kinda like coding in C++, I don't do it, but I like people doing it. Oh, you have a very nice fetish, I would say. Anyways, so let's try to implement that. I have no idea how to implement camera shaking, by the way. I've never done that before. But I would imagine that you just use a random number generator, you just shake it around, essentially. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. So camera shaking. There we go. So let's find the camera. I remember, like, we already do some camera physics. Oh yeah, there we go. So we have a yes. Ah, that's very interesting. So camera on top of having a position also has a velocity, and I think we set that velocity when we're doing like a physics of the camera. And essentially maybe we can make the camera shake by constantly applying different velocities, like randomly. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. At least I want to explore that. Yeah, at least I want to explore that. Monka shake. Yeah. So where do we work with velocity of the camera? So let's actually modify the name of this variable and see what's gonna happen. So in how many places it's gonna crash. Not crash, but fail with the compilation error. Okay, so it's that one. Where's another one? So there's also no clip camera for us. It depends on whether we have clip or no clip. It's a player position minus camera position. And also there is additional velocity that will be applied. Oh, god damn it. That will be applied if you are inside of a room. Yeah, if you're inside of the room. So basically what it means, look how the camera tries to center, tries to like show the whole room. And yeah, this is basically what this loop does. Right, but once you go outside of the room, the camera only follows the player. But once you're inside of the room, it not only follows the player, but it also follows the center of the room. It just sort of locks it at the center of the room. So yeah. And we need to add shaking to this algorithm as well, I think. I think that's what we'll have to do. So maybe in the game, we're gonna have Kolombetka. Hello, hello. Did you just join? Okay. So we have debug, step debug, BFS debug, FPS debug. So all of that is debug. Camera locks. Okay, let's introduce a boolean called camera shaking. Camera shaking. Okay, welcome to the stream. Camera shaking, and again, so we're only gonna apply this kind of stuff if we are in a clip mode. Right, in no clip mode, we only follow the player, right? We only follow the player and nothing else. So, and then here, if camera shaking, what I'm thinking is we can do camera velocity plus some sort of a random vector, random shaking vector. And the question is, how can we generate such a random shaking vector? We can use a random number generator. All right, and I think we already did something like that with particles, right? Because with particles, we needed to generate random vectors all the time. So we can just essentially reuse the same algorithm here, right? So where's the particles? Where are the particles? That's what I want to say. So we use a function called randFloatRange, so which basically just generates a random float. Okay, cool. And then we have a polar. Which is also located there. So this is essentially how we generate like a random vector, right? So, yep. Random shaking vector, something like this. So, and we also have an impact. So as far as I know, the first argument of polar is a magnitude, right? It's a magnitude of the vector. So this is magnitude and this is an angle. And what I want to actually generate, I want to generate things from 0 to 2 pi. So it's going to be the full circle, right? And the impact is essentially camera shaking intensity. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's a camera shaking intensity. So on each frame, right, on each frame we're just adding that additional vector, and probably it will do a thing. So let's try to compile that and see if it's gonna work. Also, where is the initialization? So initialization is somewhere down there. So it's gonna be game camera shaking. Camera shaking is going to become true, so that means it's going to apply the shaking all the time. It's going to apply the shaking all the time. Okay. Also, we have the testing here, so which we don't need anymore. So I think the time has come to remove all of that shite. So the time has come. Start shaking. Yes. Okay, so we don't have camera shaking intensity, so let's actually do something like vars conf. Let's find this thing, vars conf. So where's the camera stuff? Here's the camera. Is it really camera stuff? Yes, it is. Would you look at that? Okay, so right now it's going to be 0. So I'm going to just add this variable so it's available at runtime, and then we will be able to adjust all of that at runtime and see how it goes. All right, let's start the game. So far you don't notice anything because the shaking intensity is equal to 0, and that's intentional. Right, so let's go to the shaking intensity and make it like half of the... Okay, nothing's happening so far. Let's make it 1. Nothing's happening. Let's make it 10. You can kind of see something. Okay, so let's make it 100. Let's make it 200. Okay, so 500. 1,000. This is so cool. I didn't know that it's gonna be that easy. Alright. So 10,000. Okay. 0. This is so cool. Why is it so entertaining? Oh shit, I like it. Alright, so you basically just generate like a random velocity vectors and you add them to the to the velocity of the camera. That's so cool. Hello, Rapper J123. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're doing some pretty intense shaking right now. How about that? Do you like the shaking? It's pretty shaky. All right. So we're gonna say that maybe shaking intensity is gonna be... Yeah, I was playing with shaking too much. Like I didn't decide what's gonna be the actual shaking intensity. It may depend, by the way, on the impact. Yeah, it may actually depend on the impact. Right, the bigger the impact, the more shakiness we have. But I think for now it's gonna be hard-coded. So I think maybe like 7. Yeah, we'll adjust it a little bit later because yeah, over the 9,000. Yeah. Cool. So I'm gonna remove the shaking right now. So if I try to recompile everything and run it, there should be no shaking, which is nice. There we go. Cool. So let's introduce the special method for the game that will start shaking the camera. Do we have anything for the camera? So render blah blah blah. I don't even know where to put it, but I'm just gonna put it here. MCQ8 subscribed tier 1. Thank you. Thank you so much for 8 months of tier 1 subscription, and welcome to our epic shaking club. That's right. Thank you, thank you. Oh, we have a camera lock. Okay, so camera utilities. So we're gonna put them here. Nice. And camera lock is basically the room at which the camera locks, right? When you're inside of the room, the camera locks at the room, like this. You see, the camera is locked. When you leave the room, the camera is not locked anymore, but it's going to be locked once it's inside of the room. So that's what it is. And here we're going to do shake camera. And I think we're going to even introduce something interesting. We're going to introduce the duration in seconds, right? Duration in seconds. And because of that, camera, I think I want to get rid of the boolean here and turn it into a float, right? Camera shaking timeout, right? So essentially, if camera shaking timeout is less or equal than 0, that means there is no shaking effect in place. And if it's greater, that means you have to shake, and during the update on each frame, we're gonna decrease that value. So that will let you like have a shaking effect for like a very specific period of time, right? For like a second, half of, I think second would be too much, maybe like half of a second, right? And this is the function that we're gonna call on stomping. Like once we have a stomp, once we got an impact, we're gonna do shake the camera and everything should work as intended. What's up, Fade96? Welcome to the stream. All right, let's introduce that. So this is gonna be like this. Okay. So game, shake camera, and I'm gonna just do camera. Why seconds and not milliseconds? Because it's easier to do math on it. So essentially, if you have some measure units, for example, you have a velocity, player velocity, right? Player velocity, and that player velocity is going to be 300 pixels per second. So, and you have a DT, which is also in seconds, right? But it's fractional. So by having them in seconds, you will be able to easily to do something like player position x plus player position velocity multiplied by dt, right? So I use seconds because all of my measure units are units per second, because it's just easier for me to do this kind of stuff mentally. That's why. Does it make any sense? Because obviously dt for a single frame is going to be less than a second, and since this is how many units you have to traverse within a second, you can easily like take a portion of it and actually add it during the frame, and it just makes the calculations a little bit easier. Does it make sense? So yeah, and you can easily work with milliseconds by just using fractional part of a second because it's a float. Okay, cool. So yeah, so this is a camera shaking, timeout. It has to be timeout, and that means I'm setting the duration here. So this is how we enable the camera shaking time. Okay, cool. So let's try to compile that and see if it works. So now instead of that, we're gonna have a camera shaking timeout, and we're only gonna apply this effect if it's greater than 0, right? If it's greater than 0, only then we're gonna apply it. But now we have to go to the update game and decrease the camera shaking timeout every frame. So are we? I think we already are in the update. Update function is huge here, by the way. Yes, we already are in update. So cool. So I think it makes sense to update it somewhere here. So camera shaking timeout minus dt. There we go. And maybe we're gonna only update it when it's greater than 0, and that will work. All right. So that should compile now, hopefully. All right. And we also have damage radius, and I wonder if. Okay. So where should we do that? I think we should do that where we call this function. Yeah, stomping, if we are on the ground, damage radius, on stomp animation reset, and I think on top of that we have to do something like camera, shake camera for half of a second. Maybe we can do something like camera shaking duration. That's what it could be. So yeah, camera shaking duration. So we have intensity, we have duration, and let's say that duration is going to be half of a second. I think half of a second is reasonable for this kind of stuff. Something like this, and let's recompile that, and let's see if it's going to work or not. Debuggers, and okay, let's go to a room where we don't have anything, and let's see if we have the shit. God damn it. Okay. Okay. Even half of a second too much, I think. So let's actually make it like quarter of a second. How about 15? Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah, this is actually super cool. Maybe even 20. Yeah, look at that gut quitter. Ah, boom, boom, boom. We also need like a sound, like a stomping sound. That would be actually super cool. Thick player. Yes, the player is pretty thick. Alright. So I think this like sound is really lacking here. Is void counter working? Yes, it is. Actually, it's working. It's working really, really well. Maybe I don't really look void very often. Maybe that's why. Crunch sound. We can try a crunch sound, why not? So what's the crunch sound though? Needs a fat sound. Something like thump. Alright, so let's go to the website where I steal the assets. Credits. Alright. Thump? No. Thump. Maybe something for stomp? There's just stomp. Okay, so I'm gonna actually be really careful. I'm gonna turn down the... Yeah, my battery is fucked. I know that. I already knew. Okay, I still didn't put in the new battery. I'm sorry. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at life. Seriously, my battery is fucked. I ordered a new battery. It came. I still didn't put it in because I didn't have motivation to do that. And now I'm sad because my life is such a huge mess that I cannot put like a new battery there. Got it programming the way it's supposed to be. Whatever. So let's actually focus on the stomp sound. Are they sure it's a stomp? Okay. Could be okay. Alright. Oh, it's a flag, by the way. Create a assistant. Not hire or anything. Create. That's very interesting. Alright. So let's go here. I hope it's not gonna be too loud. All of the sounds are usually very fucking loud. Cloning, yes, exactly. Oh, you mean something like code an assistant? Is that what you meant? Order an assistant. Unfortunately, I don't really have enough resources to actually hire anyone. Okay. Yeah, and one of the things I'll probably have to do, I'll have to convert it to wave. Yes, it's gonna be FFmpeg. The input is gonna be stomp, and the I think AR basically rate 48 hertz, 1000 hertz, and the output is gonna be stomp wave, and it worked. Nice. We can even check out the stomp wave. And it is mono, right? I do expect everything to be mono, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So then I'm gonna go to my assets configuration, assets conf, Imagine not using flag in 2020. Well, I'm not using it right now because that's not primary focus. Because using flag will require adding new dependencies and stuff like that. Wave is just automatically supported by SDL out of the box. So when I start polishing the game, improving the looks and sounds, I may try to go into like improving sound quality and start using like something like lip flag or whatever the fuck it is. So I don't know. So right now it's just not a priority. That's why. But I do plan to maybe like have higher quality sounds in the future. All right, stomp sound. Sound. So it's gonna be assets, and we're gonna have stomp wave stomp. Right, there we go. And let's see if this entire thing even loads up. Right. So we're gonna just rebuild everything. Wave is lossless. Changing to flag would only be reducing asset size. Yeah, that makes sense. Why not? Okay, it loaded it successfully. So if I take a look at the stomp, there we go. It was loaded successfully. So that means we can like straight up use it in the game. And as far as I know, the asset typer should also generate. Yeah, it generated an index, it generated the actual sound, so we can just directly use this asset in the code base. So we have a little bit of a meta program, right? You have an asset config and it generates you some defines, and you can just access those assets by their IDs or like that. So it's actually pretty cool system. All right, so and in a stomp, let's find where we shake the camera, right? So we shake the camera here, and on top of that, I think it depends on where we have a mixer. So we should do something like mixer. Wave is basically a container. Okay. Don't think it's but as I mentioned, it's not a really priority for me, so that's why I don't focus on this kind of stuff. All right. Mixer. Okay, so and in the mixer, sound. So you just play sample. Okay, you play sample and it accepts an index. All right, it accepts an index, and that means I should be able to do something like stomp sound, a sound index, and it will play that stomp sound when it actually stomps. Yeah. I really like how straightforward that code is, right? So damage the radius, shake the camera for a particular amount of seconds, play the sound, reset animation, and switch to a different state. So yeah, it's just explicitly do these things, and yeah, the code is very straightforward. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at if it does things. There is a delay. There is a straight up delay before it actually starts to play. I really don't like that, so we'll probably have to go to Audacity and maybe sort it out. So even though it's a placeholder anyway, so I just want it to be like a little bit better. Yeah, there is still a little bit of delay. Yeah, Audacity is really bad at playing. I'm sorry if it's too loud. Yeah, it's probably too loud. So we can try to cut like around here, maybe. Yeah. And can I export it as wave back to the stomp? I hope it's gonna use the same parameters, so it's gonna work. Okay, it did work. Okay, I suppose. As a placeholder, it's okay, I would say. Yeah. And let's add. Could the delay occur because they shake the cam? No, no, no. The sounds are played. These operations are not really like synchronous, right? So what essentially shaking does, it just schedules the shaking, and shaking happens over several frames. So the only thing that shaking does, actually, if you look at it, it just assigns one float to the variable, to another one. That's it. That's very quick. But then, through the entire update system, it looks at that new variable and just updates the stuff. So it's completely asynchronous in that sense. So it's not about that for sure. So maybe there's something wrong with my sound system. And sound, by the way, is played in a completely different thread as well. So no. All of these operations, they just schedule the thing that I want to do, but they don't really do them. Right. So that's how it works. Cheers, by the way. It kind of is. It kind of is asynchronous. And I think Tokyo essentially works in a similar way because it has its own event loop. And in that event loop, it just polls asynchronous futures and whatnot. And that's essentially what I do anyway. I just have like an event loop, and I just poll them myself, like explicitly. And I looked into the asynchronous Rust a little bit at some point, and essentially what is a future, or I don't know if it's called future in Rust, but it's essentially abstraction over a thing that polls something constantly. That's what it is. And it's just wrapped into a Monadish thingy that you can, you know, stack and compose together. And yeah, it's a feature, yeah. So it's kind of close to what Tokyo does, if I understood everything correctly, of course. It's just I do that without any additional abstractions. All right. So I forgot to add this stomping thingy. Cool. So what did I do here? Okay. Shake the camera on stomping. There we go. And on top of that, I think I want to just test the whole build. Just see if release builds. And let's create a pull request. Let's create the pull requestus. Did they... Why doesn't it show me? I so got used to GitHub showing me the branch when I need to create a pull request that when it doesn't do that, I don't know how to create the pull requests. Did I? Oh, I didn't push it. Okay, so I'm just a bit bigger. Hello, Yelda Bahat. Welcome to the stream. All right, let's create the pull request. The main design thing Rust did for the future thingy was making sure it worked fine with lifetimes. I didn't really look into that thing too deep to understand what kind of problems can be caused by lifetime and borrow checkers, so I'm not sure if I have a comment on that. But that would be interesting to research in the future. What's the lifetime? It's basically for how long a particular object lives. Right. There's a GitHub CLI tool, not Git itself, that might be handy for pulls. Yes, I heard about it. So essentially, right, you have a function. Right. And you have a variable 69, right? So, and then you have a little bit of code. For how long this variable lives? Well, it lives starting from here up until the end of the function. Right, so then you have another function for 20. For how long this variable lives? Well, it lives starting from here up until here, and here y is already dead. So this like duration of a life of a variable or object or anything is what we call in Rust and C++ the lifetime. So yeah, the notion of this lifetime actually occurred like in C++, but it was like fully formalized in Rust, and in Rust this lifetime thing, this lifetime is actually a part of the type of the variable. It is in fact part of the type of the variable, so it can even analyze when you're trying to use something in a context that will be dead at some point, especially if you do that by a reference. Right. So that's what it is. Does it make sense? Does it answer any of your questions? Actually, Y might be dead even before it's born, because compiler will abort it because it isn't used. Yeah, well, I mean, besides that, that's just basically the idea, like the gist of this thing. All right, this thing seems to be building on all of the major platforms, which is super cool. And that's the whole change. Hello, Fmago. How are you doing? And yes, we are Tesu. Cool. Let's actually merge all of this stuff and move on to the next juicy issues. Why is dependency injection important? That's a good question. Thank you for asking it. Delete the branch. So let's fetch the latest changes. So basically, int has a lifetime of block scope by default. When is it that overwritten by something else? It is not ever overwritten by anything else. It's not about that. Okay, so maybe you're curious, why is it even useful, right? Why is it important to know that lifetime? Okay, so let me show you. Again, the same example. So we have a pointer here. Right. What's gonna happen? So basically, the lifetime of the variable is a part of a type, so these kind of things can be caught at compile time. So Rust can catch these kind of situations at compile time because each reference or pointer has a lifetime of the object it points to associated with it, so the compiler can analyze if you're not working with something that is already dead. And it tries to prevent you from touching thing that could be already dead at that point. Does it make sense? So yeah, in Rust this is going to be a compilation error. In C++ it won't be a compilation error. So that's why lifetime is sort of like a part of the type of the reference or pointer. Does it make sense? It actually can catch all sorts of different situations related to that. Also dangling pointers and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. So we already merged this kind of stuff. So you will never be able to compile that. What about if you wrap it in void casts with Rust catch that too? So in Rust you can actually use like row pointers and wrap everything in a safe. But I mean, yeah, so essentially I think like Rust provides you a bunch of hacks in case you need to do something against its safety policy. Right, so it's not like it's impossible to do these kind of things, but I cannot remember how to do that off the top of my head. So at the top of my head, I would probably try to think towards using row pointers and unsafe. But I never tried that. I never used row pointers in Rust. Well, I used them once when I had to interface with the libc library, but I didn't use them, I didn't create any functions that work with row pointers. All right. So, okay, let me fetch the latest changes and let's take a look at what I have. Origin master, and let's remove the stink. And yep. How do you write it in Rust? Oh, okay, so we'll already answer that question. Yeah, probably through an option. Okay, so the next one would be updating an enemy AI to work with the stomps. But the question is, how can we work with the stomps? So, by the way, so we have a specific AIs, like we have the same AI for all of the enemies. Right, we have a specific AI for all of the enemies, and that's kind of a problem. So I think we need to have different kinds of AIs that should be associated with different entities. I just don't understand how the little thingy solves the problem. It doesn't. It doesn't solve any problem. It just doesn't let you to compile the code. So essentially, it will depend on what you need. Like the code that I wrote, this kind of code, is at its essence is useless, right? Why do you need to do something like that in the first place, right? Why do you need something like that in the first place? You don't need to do anything like that in the first place, and that's why you cannot compile that. That's the logic behind it. That's the philosophy, right? So the idea of Rust is that it pushes you to the right code, that the code that you actually need, and push you away from the code you don't need. That's the point. You see? That's the whole idea. Don't worry about it. So it doesn't solve any problems. It just push you towards the right solution. Don't touch the wrong one. No, right one, like that. So if it doesn't compile, that means it's a wrong solution. Don't even try to do that. Yeah. So what I was talking about? I think it was Yesu. So essentially, we have like an AI hard-coded for all of the entities right now, and that's a kind of no bueno. So let's actually find it. So I think it's somewhere in update. Yeah. I even have it to do here. There we go. Is that the... It's not even an enemy AI, goddammit. Enemy AI is somewhere here, I think. Yeah, here's the whole enemy AI, by the way. If anyone was interested. So that's the whole enemy AI. 33 lines. Not really. It doesn't include the BFS like itself. But BFS is just pre-computes the tracing information, and it's up to the AI already to use that tracing information properly, and that's the code that makes the decision for the entity based on that BFS tracing information. So effectively this is the whole AI excluding BFS, but whether we consider BFS part of AI or not, I don't know. Why Rust doesn't have tuples with the named fields? Because I don't know, you have structures. So I really want to make another cup of tea before I dive into this stuff, because Rust is shit. Rust is interesting language, not gonna lie. But is it a killer of C and C++? Not really, I wouldn't say so. It's an interesting language, but that's about it. I don't think it's gonna kill anything in the nearest future so far, especially C. It's not a killer of C++, and C++ is supposed to be the killer of C, and it's not even that good at it. Seriously, even C++ couldn't really kill C. So, you see what I'm talking about? How far are we from something like Rust Go can compete on something like C++ for game dev, but you would not have to manage memory? What kind of question is this? How far? Is it... This question has a really strange assumption that you can somehow measure that distance in a like one-dimensional linear way. I wish everything was like that easily measurable as you wanted. I wish it was simple as that. Fortunately, it is not. So yeah. And why do we even need to measure that? I don't think it's even needed to do that. Thrush5, hello. Have you done any exercises today? Today, no MoonQuest. If you're not gonna exercise tomorrow, you're gonna be banned on this channel, that's for sure. Anyway, so let's try to see. So here's the thing. How can we extract an AI? Well, we may have like, you know, an AI entity, right? Let's actually create something AI HPP, and there we go. So, and we're gonna literally have like a structure called AI. Yeah. And what this thing will do, so it does enemy jump, enemy stop, and then at some point, yeah, it points at a particular thing and it shoots the enemy. And enemy also needs to know its index in the game. Alright, that's cool. So that means we need to have something like this. It's going to be struct AI like this, and what we're going to have here, compute think. Yes. So basically we're going to have a function that is called think, and this is the function that makes the decision for a particular enemy. Yeah, that's going to be super cool. All right, that's going to be super cool. And what this function essentially does, right? What this function essentially does is takes a game, because it needs to update the state of the game, and also entity index. It needs to update the entity, so it makes the decision for that specific entity. So that's how it's going to work, I think. And then we would be able to assign this AI to all of these entities. And the game loop is gonna call this function. Okay, and we're gonna have different kinds of AIs. Dummy, which doesn't do anything at all, right? So basically, it doesn't make any decisions. And then we're gonna have something like this. So we need to come up with the name for the current AI. How would we call the current AI that just basically traces you and shoots? We can call it like a hunter AI. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Like maybe shooter AI. So essentially what it does, it basically traces you, and if it sees you, it just stops and constantly shoots at you. That's going to be this kind of AI. Right, so it's that one. Entity index. Yeah, and this is where we're going to put all of that. There. So since these are think functions, I think we need to call them think. Right, and another one that we need to implement today is gonna be actually Stomper Think. Right, because the logic for shooter does not fit for the entities, the only attack for which is stomp. Because shooter just looks at you, if it sees you, it shoots at you. But Stomper need to go towards you, like until it actually close to you, jump and try to stomp you. So it's a completely different sequence of actions. And if you give a Stomper AI of shooter, it's not going to be able to do anything at all. So it has to be completely different AI. To be fair, I don't really like AI, the word AI, because it's so overloaded, because it's kind of new. Yeah, we need to have like a Pepega thing. So why? Let's actually call it a brain. Look at that. You may have like a brain, right? Something like this, and then you can say brain think. Isn't it cool? Yes, let's call it brain. I like that. Brain think. Okay, so this one is gonna be index. Availor actually got the joke. Yeah, okay, yeah. God damn it, yes, it's actually true. God damn it. I just exposed myself as a Haskellr. People actually realize that I'm doing a new type here. God damn it. As you can see, Haskell permanently damaged my brain. Yeah. So, and by the way, we'll have to rename all of these things here as well. It's gonna be brain, and also rename this thing. So it's gonna be brain. Okay, and let's do something brain CPP. And let's include something brain HPP. All right, and we're gonna just include these things here. So dummy think doesn't think at all. So this is the implementation of dummy think. So shooter think is going to be slightly different. So we'll have to take this code and copy paste it here. Right, that's what we'll need to do. A literal no-brainer. Yeah, exactly. To be fair, I mean, we could have just got rid of dummy think, and if think function is null, that means we don't have to do anything. We can just check for that. Yeah, I think we don't even need this kind of thing. Okay, so it's gonna be a brain. And Stomper, we're gonna do something like assert to do. Stomper think is not implemented. That's right. Stomper think is not implemented. I asked the professor at my uni whether there were any courses on FP, but said no, he was certainly interested in though. Yeah, what's funny is that I also didn't have any courses on function programming in my uni, but that's explained by my uni being completely useless. Alright, so now I want to go to the entity. Right, I'm gonna go to the entity course. I mean, yes, thank you for reminding me about my pronunciation. So this is entity, this is a single entity, and a single entity may have also a brain. So where are we gonna put it? So this is item slot. Okay, so here's the brain. So I'm gonna go to the game and I'm gonna try to adapt this entire stuff. So here is, yeah, so this is what we're gonna have in the brain for shooter. In the brain for shooter. So now if I try to compile that, did I do semicolon A it again? I'm really sorry. I cannot control that. And also because I need the new glasses, yeah, sorry. Okay, so I also need to include something brain HPP. Oh, I also built in release, that's why it takes so long. Cool. So, yep, here's the brain. And I just realized that I don't compile the brain at all. So that means I'll have to go to my single compilation unit. Let me edit somewhere, I don't know, here. The order doesn't really matter here because the order is resolved by headers anyway. So it's gonna be like this. Let's see how it goes. So it doesn't compile because, yeah, so we have to have like the enemy here. So I'm gonna take the game. Also, I probably need to include the game. Something game CPP. It's not really CPP, it has to be HPP. So game entities, entity. I should call it entity index because I'm gonna use the entity index unwrap. And then it's going to be outer entity. I'm going to take a pointer to this thing and yeah, that's really strange. Why do I use it as a reference, don't I? Or somebody sneaked in references here. God damn it. Okay, wait a fucking second. Somebody actually... Wait a fucking second. I'm gonna blame it. References... yes. I see you! Okay, that's okay though. Alright. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can compile it now. Don't worry about it, I'm joking, of course. I mean, in this particular situation, they're more than okay. So also we need to include the something entity HPP. True detective. I mean, it only takes like a single blame, and that's it. Enemy. Yeah, I think in this particular case, enemy should be called entity, right? So it should be called entity. There we go. Blaming the public stream. I'm not blaming, I'm totally okay with that. Don't worry about it. Alright. So... So this should not be a part of this entire thing. So this is what we're gonna have here. So this is a game grid. We take a game grid. So I'm just trying to make this entire thing compile, and we also have a player position. God damn. Okay, so what do we use here? Player. I can always take the player position quite easily. It can be something like game entities. Entities. Entity index player. Is it not entity entity index player entity? Jesus Christ, player entity index. Okay, so now, yeah, it should be okay. It should compile now. Come on. Entity should, and this is our index, so it has to be done like this. Entity index, and it's gonna be a game. Anything else? Anything else we need to do here? Probably game grid. Okay, I should probably do like a whole thing here. Alright, that should be alright. Lock. So yeah, we need an access to the lock. That's true. That's actually true. That's actually true. Okay, so where is the lock? So it's that. Alright, so that means we need an access to this thing. And it's a pointer. Alright. So, can we do it now? We'll have to update, yeah, we'll have to update the things. So now the signature by itself also accepts this additional information because it's needed. Right, it's also needed brain HPP. So let's actually include this lock. For now, it's not pretty. I do realize that, but I want it to work first, and then we can make it a little bit better. All right. So this one is not needed. Cool. All right. So all of this stuff compiles, which I'm really happy about. So, and I need some sort of like constructors for the brains, right? Constructors for the brains. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Brain HPP. So we're gonna have something like void shooter brain, which gives you this kind of brain. So it's essentially gonna be just, you know, shooter thing. It's a very simple constructor, so just to simplify things. It's gonna be Stomper. Stomper brain, Stomper thing. Okay. So, and now we need to go to the main game loop and change how we apply the AI. Right, we need to change how we apply the AI. So where's the game? So here it is. So this is what we're working on, by the way. Yeah. So this one is very interesting. So maybe we don't even need to check. But overall, yeah. Essentially, we need to take this entire thing, remove it completely. We're removing it completely. And then we take the entity brain, think. And if we do have something here, we're gonna do entity, brain, think, game, entity IDs, which is gonna be that, and then lock. So this is how we sort of like moved the AI logic to a completely different place, right? So that's how we effectively moved it. So, and it didn't work because, why? Because it's called enemy. Yeah, it's called enemy. Enemy, there we go. Brainifying, and this is gonna be this. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now, if I try to run the game and I have some sort of enemies, they do nothing because they don't have a brain. But that's true, they don't have a brain. So we need to add them the brain. So we have to go to entity, CPP, and let's find the, I don't know, some of the entities, like enemy entity. Yeah, there we go. So there is an enemy entity, and we can literally just do something like entity, brain, shooter brain, and that's it. That should be it. So you basically take a shooter brain and you assign that brain to that entity, and after that, the enemy is gonna have a sugar brain. As you can see, it works. Oh shit, it keeps following me for some reason. So I think I did a Fucky Wacky somewhere. So it shouldn't do that. Where did I do Fucky Wacky? It should stop. Alright, something went wrong at that time. Alright. Alright, so cool. So we introduced the concept of a brain, and different entities now can have different brains that make them do different things. Right, so that's exactly what I'm going for, because for example, Dirt Golem, we need to have a completely different AI. So I can add the Dirt Golem here, and instead of like following the player and trying to shoot it, it should try to get as close to the player as possible and try to stomp them, like jump and stomp. So yeah, that's gonna be the idea. God damn it. So I want to look at your logs because I want to maybe trust you, so you can continue the conversation. Let me see. Yeah, basically it just kills. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think I can trust you. There we go. So let's continue. So let's commit all of that. We need to create a separate branch. And yeah, I forgot to put that in progress. And 317. So, and in the brain, I want to double check if I didn't do anything really bad. So if it's not alive, it's not gonna do anything. Cool. Introduce the concept of a brain. Alright, and just push that right into the repo. Cool. So we introduce the brain, and the next thing we need to do for the Dirt Golem specifically. So entities, Golem. Right, so let's find the Golem. So this is Ice Golem, and Dirt Golem is actually just called Golem. Historically, it will be better to rename it to something else. So it's going to be entity. Oh, what's up, Shazubak? Welcome to the stream. Really glad to see you. Stomper brain. Right, we're assigning a Stomper brain to the entity. Okay, seems good. And now, if I try to rerun this entire thing, yep, 8 crashes because yeah, Stomper Think is not implemented. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So Stomper Think is not implemented. So let's go to the brain and see how we can implement Stomper. So we might as well actually follow a similar pattern here, right? A similar pattern where we have the reference to the entity itself, to the player, and so on and so forth. And if the entity is alive, then we can do. Then we're gonna do some things. All right. So let's actually think. We want to get close to the entity as possible. To the player. Right, so our first goal is to get as close as possible. Maybe we're gonna do like a reversed situation. What if we are already close? Right, what if we are already close? So it's gonna be something similar to, yeah, we're gonna look at X. And the X coordinate, are we on like close enough to the player on the X coordinate? Okay, then we can take a look at y. If we are below the player or below some sort of threshold, we try to jump. If we are above the player, we try to stomp. That's the whole idea. Make sense? Right. So I think it's gonna be good. All right. So how are we gonna do that? If entity position x minus entity actually player position y, and absolute value of the differences of these things. If it is less than stomper attack threshold, then we're starting to look at y, right? Then we're trying to take a look at the y difference, right? So, and there are two situations actually. Yeah, thank you. It actually has to be y, right? Yeah. So if entity position x below, but not really below. So if it's below, y is bigger, right? That means because I still want it to be higher than particular thing. All right, so that means that if player position y minus entity position x, and this time not an absolute value, if it is okay, so I'm trying to visualize that in my head. That means I'm doing something wrong. I need to draw. Yeah. So every time I'm trying to visualize something and it doesn't work, I need to just draw that, because I mean that means my brain is incapable of just handling that. So I need to put these things around. Okay, so this is not what I wanted. Yep. So here is, let's say, the player. So the y grows down, by the way. This is y. And this is the enemy. Enemy. Cool. So that means we want to stomp in this particular situation. The y of the player, like yp and ye, we know for sure that yp is greater than ye. So if you do yp minus ye, that gives you sort of the range at which you can want to stomp. So, and if this value is greater or equal to stomp, another stomp threshold, you want to stomp. Okay, this thing is greater, stomper attack y threshold. This is going to be x threshold. So we're going to have like two thresholds here. If that means what the entity does, and an entity, like we will straight up have like a stomp attack, right? So you just do stomp. I don't really know why we need grid here, but it requires grid, and we do have a grid here, so it's not that big of a deal. So I can deal with that. Game entity index, and this is a lock. And why do we use lock here? We use that for the grid. Yeah, we use that for the grid because we need to look up the results of the BFS. All right. So in that case, I'm gonna do entity stomp, and I'm gonna give it game grid like this. So, and it will perform the stomp attack. Otherwise, I'm gonna make the entity jump. So you can just do it like that, jump. All right. So yeah, that's the basic situation. That's the basic situation here. So otherwise, assert, but we're not going to do the assert. Track, right? If this, if we did not achieve the threshold, X threshold, we need to keep tracking this thing. And tracking this thing is actually this, if I understand correctly, right? So, yeah, tracking this thing is essentially that. So you'll have to take the current tile of the entity, then check out the next, and depending on other things here, you'll have to just move. Okay, so right now we're not going to do any tracking. So right now I'm going to try to test the logic like that, so and see if it's going to work or not. Okay, and in entity, did I? Okay, so it doesn't. We don't have these things yet. 47. But didn't I already explain that? The player position, since the Y grows down, the player position is bigger than, like I was actually explaining like for a half of a minute, like why I did this particular ordering. Oh, I did. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. God damn it. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God damn it. I'm blind. I really apologize. Thank you so much. Jesus Christ. Okay, it just distracts me from my current context, because my current context is not about that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Wars. So do we have anything related to stomping? Stomping. So we have a stomp acceleration. Stomper attack threshold is going to be float. So let's actually make it like 100 maybe. It depends actually on radius. Yes, let's make it a radius. It has to be equal to radius. So X is going to be the radius. And Stomper attack Y threshold. Y threshold has to be, let's say maybe like also 200, but it's not related to Stomp radius anyway. Okay, so let's see if it compiles or not. It does not compile because we don't use this thing yet. Let us see. Cool. So if I try to add this thing, so right now it's not gonna try to track me, right? I think the this is actually fucking amazing. I didn't expect that. Okay, let's actually say that Y threshold is gonna be like this. Maybe it's gonna be even smaller. Let's make it 50. How about this? I need to actually recover my health. I really like this. This is so cool. Oh my god. Oh shit. This is so cool. So now, little bouncy boy, yeah, and it acts completely differently from the shooter because it's a stomper. Okay, so now we need to do tracking, and tracking is essentially this, right? This piece of code, and maybe I can just copy paste this tracking code here because I didn't see anything wrong here. Anything related to shooting? Yeah, this is essentially just tracking. That's what it is. So, and yeah, maybe we can even extract that to a separate function just like called track, and reuse it every time we need to track something, so that should be okay. Oh shit, that's actually coming out really nice. Oh my god, is it gonna be done that easily? I didn't expect this problem to be so easy. Oh shit. Oh shit. I think it's stuck. Yes, I think it's stuck. So we have a... It's not really effective though. Yeah, so there is a situation when it gets stuck like this. Yeah, but that's a completely like separate bug. Right, and it doesn't really look that threatening, to be fair. The shooter AI is way more threatening than that. So, but the Stomper... Oh shit. I think it should actually maybe move a little bit faster. I think it should move a little bit faster to be actually threatening. So... It has a speed. Let's make speed a little bit faster so it can just reach you. Even though it's not supposed to be like that, but that would be cool. Alright, so let's see. Oh shit. I really fucking like it. I really like how all of these like pieces of puzzle fit together. Yeah. So this is so cool. Nice. Okay. Alright, so let's actually... But there's also like a bug that is difficult to reproduce, and I don't know how to report it. So once I will be able to reproduce it, I'll probably report it, but yeah, it's definitely outside of the scope of the current issue. So do we have any to-dos that we have not reported? No, we don't. So that means the issue is done. We just added a Stomper brain. But the thing is, we don't have a brain for ice golems. That's right. So, but for the ice golems, like, I'm not really sure how exactly we're gonna do that. Maybe it's gonna be a shooter. Yeah, so let me go to entity and add the to-do for that, and I will think about that a little bit later. So ice golem entity. Alright. So, and as you can see, these constructors become really involved. And I remember somebody some time ago suggested that maybe we need to add like files that describe entities, like configuration files for the entities, so you don't have to do that in code, similar to how we do animations. And I'm actually thinking about that. At some point, maybe we'll, yeah, this is not going to be code anymore. This is going to be like a file that is going to become the part of the assets, and the engine is going to become more and more powerful. So ice golems don't have any brain. Yeah, and this is true, by the way. If you create an ice golem, it's not gonna do anything to you because it doesn't have any brain. So yeah, there's also this shit. Modded something. Yeah, to be fair, it's not really that difficult to mod an open source game. Okay, so what did we do here? Yeah, implement Stomper brain, and let's just push that. So let's rebuild everything from scratch. Mind test. Okay, that's fair enough. Yes, I do agree with that one. I do agree with that one. Mind test is kind of difficult to mod. That's why it's kind of dying. Which is kind of interesting. Like, I think Minecraft is modded more actively than Mind test, despite Mind test being completely open source, but Minecraft being completely closed source. I think it's kind of funny and ironic. So, but I mean, it's just the power of the meme, because Minecraft is such a huge meme. So yeah, such a huge brand as well. Okay, so implement Stomper brain, and let's close that issue. And it's 17. There we go. Okay, it's 17, and yeah, we'll have to wait for this thing. Okay, and the release builds as well. So do we have anything else interesting to work on? Not particularly. Maybe I'm gonna just do a little bit of refactoring just to reach the 3 hours mark. But I'm not sure if I want to really do that. So maybe there's something more interesting than that. No sound for placers, can we? Alright. Okay, so I think that is it. Do you Advent of Code? Yes, I do. You can check out my solutions here. Today I actually solved the third day, so I'm actually lagging behind a little bit, but that's kind of intentional. So because I solved them on the stream, and I just don't want to spoil the problems for the people who have solved them, so that's why I'm sort of lagging behind. Alright, so, and let's actually merge that, and I think I'm gonna call it a day, boys and girls. I think I'm gonna call it a day, because, yeah, I ran out of interesting issues for this project for now. I will need to think about this stuff a little bit more. And on top of that, I feel a little bit tired because I had to solve Advent of Code in a language that I don't really like. And also, yeah, I'll have to like move stuff around in the game. So I think that's gonna be it for today. That's gonna be it. Thanks everyone who's watching me right now. I really appreciate that. Have a good one, and I see you tomorrow according to the schedule. We're gonna continue doing this thing. So for tomorrow, I'm gonna prepare more issues related to the gameplay, right? Because the rest of the issues right now, they are sort of like a refactoring, which is not that interesting, right? So prepare something interesting related with the gameplay or related to the AI or something like that. Also check out our schedule page for more information on different projects we're working on. Also check out our VODs channel where we archive all of our stream recordings. This stream is going to be there as well, but tomorrow we upload them on the next day. And also check out our Discord server for offline discussion with the community. And that's it. Thanks everyone for watching, and I see you all tomorrow. Love you all.